back to the show.
All right, welcome into the show and welcome into the first edition of the Fearless Football Forecast here on the Sports Bar on Pirate Radio 1250 and 930 and online at reflector.com. We'll be here every Thursday getting you ready for all the area high school football action going on in Pitt County. I am Clip Brock. Joining me today in the Pirate Radio studios, two gentlemen from the Daily Reflector sports team. Ronnie Woodward back for another year. He just cannot get away from high school football. Ronnie, you've joined me quite a bit on Pirate Radio to talk football. It's great to join you guys on the Fearless Football Forecast now, and back for another year, ready for some more action.
Yeah, this is a new era of doing this thing. As we've discussed, I was so used to the Reflector dungeon and kind of controlling this thing, but yeah, it's exciting. Glad to see how this goes, and I think we'll do great, Clip.
Going to brighten it up a bit here in the Pirate Radio studios.
TV in the background here.
Exactly. We got a nice little man cave going on in here to talk high school football. Also joining us on the show today, Jordan Anders, who is the new Prep Sports beat writer for the Daily Reflector. Jordan, welcome to the show and welcome to the Fearless Football Forecast.
Yeah, man, it's good to be here. Kind of uncharted waters here for me a little bit.
Yeah, Jordan, brand new
to
the beat, Ronnie. So he's kind of taken over where you were last year as far as covering high school sports as his first option. So looking forward to Jordan being a part of the Daily Reflector sports team and joining us here on the Fearless Football Forecast. All right, so each week we're going to preview every game involving a Pitt County team. 4 Pitt County teams in action this weekend. So that means 2 teams are off week 1, which is interesting, Ronnie.
Yeah.
Those 2 teams, J.H. Rose and North Pitt. So real quick, before we get into the games, let's talk about the Rampants and also the Panthers, starting with J.H. Rose. And Ronnie, when you start with Rose, you got to start with Cornell Powell, right?
Yeah, he's obviously the guy. It's funny, too. I talked to Coach Dave Wojciechowski a few weeks ago, and he kind of joked that, we only have one player. Nobody, that's, all we want to talk about. And to some extent, that's the case, but not really. I mean, they need other parts. Quarterback Ace Alexander is probably going to be the guy. Somebody has to throw him the ball. They lost a key running back from last year, so they have to have some other parts, obviously, to make the thing work. I think they have some talent on defense as well. Some linebackers are good. I think the front 7 could be pretty strong. But yeah, I think Cornell had, I want to say 19 touchdown catches last year. I mean, I think 20-some total altogether. I mean, he's probably going to do kickoff return. They're going to use him, I think, in the running game a little bit at running back. And, yeah, I mean, he's a stud. I saw Todd Gurley play in high school. I've seen some other decent players, Reggie Bullock, but Cornell's up there as far as my short tenure covering high school.
Mm.
Todd Gurley's the only one other that I can think of that was that dynamic. He can change a game really quickly and can do it a lot of ways.
Another storyline to follow this year, his recruitment, Ronnie, is he has committed to Clemson.
Yep.
But there's going to be a ton of teams checking him out in 2015.
Yeah, I've heard Oklahoma is trying to get in the mix. If you could make that connection there, they have an offensive coordinator who's probably aware of
That's
Powell,
right. That's right.
He seems pretty committed to Clemson, so I don't think that would change.
Jordan, Rose going to be a strong team in Pitt County this year, and North Pitt kind of on the opposite side of that as they're looking to bounce back from a down 2014. So what are you looking forward to seeing out of the Panthers when they begin action next week?
Well, the biggest thing in looking at their season and what they've got is that they're playing 4 of their first 5 games on the road, and so for a team that struggled so bad last year like they did to open up with such a rough stretch there, but then they turn around and have 5 straight at home there later in the year. So I mean, I think the biggest thing for that team is really going to be how they open the year and how they're able to what they're able to do on the road in the 4 of those first 5 games. Because if they start strong and then have that huge home spell when they get to conference play, then they could easily kind of turn their season around from last year, I think.
D.H. Conley, Southeast Raleigh at D.H. Conley, and looking at the Vikings, a lot of off-the-field drama. We've talked about that a lot this offseason, so let's start with the on-the-field stuff. And Holton Ahlers returning for a sophomore year, and Ronnie had a great freshman year that was marred a little bit by injuries that took away part of his season, but he's primed for a big year this season.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they have that running game as usual, and it's certainly going to include Ahlers. I've heard they might throw it a little more, just using obviously his talent and kind of the personnel. But he's a huge kid. I mean, I think when he was like 12 years old, he was bigger than me. But yeah, he's a big kid. He can run. Obviously, he's powerful. almost a Tim Tebow-esque way. He's left-handed, so it kind of makes sense. But they have some other players too, Deuce Fuller, some other running backs and guys that they have to run. I mean, it's a wing T offense that's built around having multiple options, and I think that kind of starts with Ehlers. And from what I've seen in the offseason and heard, I think he's kind of taken control. I mean, as you mentioned, he's only a sophomore, but he's the guy, much like Powell is at Rose. I mean, he's the D1 prospect, and he's the guy that kind of has to take charge of that offense. It seems like he's done that despite being an underclassman in years. He looks ready to lead that team. And Southeast Raleigh, I'm from that area, from Raleigh. They're our biggest rivals in high school. So a lot of talent usually kind of comes in waves. But I think that, looking at the schedule here, probably the best matchup or maybe most intriguing with the different storylines. That should be a good one.
All right, Jordan, so as you look at South Central, Green Central, first game without Furlow for the Falcons, can they be victorious?
I feel like they can. I mean, coming off a year where they went 7-5 last year, a pretty big momentum boost for them looking ahead to the new guy. And like Ronnie mentioned, it's in my experience of being around high school football, there's always a little less of a transition when you're moving on to that head coach who has already been in the system, in the program, and I don't feel like it's going to be as big an adjustment or a change for them. So I look for them to come out and start the season strong with a win.
Ronnie, you willing to take the upset here, or are you going with the Falcons?
I'm going with the Falcons. I'm gonna go with the homer one as well, and I'll take South Central.
All right, next game up, West Craven at Aiden Grifton, Paul Cornwell. Once again, Ronnie, we talk about it every year, playing these tough non-conference games. I had an interesting chat with Coach Cornwell over the summer that he says his team is not going to be as big as they've been in years past. That doesn't mean they're going to go away from the run at all, but it does mean that they might try to do different things offensively, get guys out in space. So it sounds like they're going to change just a little bit. Justin Brown, obviously, at East Carolina now. They lost a little size there in the interior. But it's not going to be a completely new Aiden Grifton Chargers team, but we could see some new wrinkles.
Yeah, I think you're right. Jake Wright was another big player for them. I think he signed with, I want to say Pembroke. He signed with an in-state school or Wingate or something like that. But he was an offensive line, tight end type, and played some defense. Justin Brown, obviously, you mentioned. So, yeah, there will be some different faces, especially up front. But they have some skill guys back. The quarterback is back. Hunter Cannon's gone, actually, so scratch that. But yeah, they have some skill guys around. The wing back, the running back, they always have players. Seems like every year that's what Aiden Grifton does, as you mentioned. So I talked to Cornwell as well during the preseason. He mentioned their numbers were low, not only at certain spots, but just in general their numbers were low. So I think there's some concern, maybe some depth concerns early in the year. But you got to tip your hat to Paul Cornwell. He's such a good coach. It's a really good staff. So we might not know who the stars are, who the main guys are at this point, but we probably will by week 1, week 2, because they're so efficient in what they do.
And we know by September he'll have things going full steam.
Yep.
Now, in years past, they've struggled non-conference, taking care of the conference. So, Jordan, when you look at West Creighton, Aiden Grifton, can Paul Cornwell get that non-conference W week 1 this year? Who do you like in this one?
I mean, with the issues that Ronnie mentioned in terms of depth, I'm going to give them a week to kind of figure that out, and I'm going to go with West Craven and let Aiden Grifton work out the kinks week 1.
All right, another year, another tough non-conference for those Chargers. All right, final game involving Pitt County teams this week. Kinston is at Farmville Central. Scott Gardner's guys put up a ton of points last year, were really good defensively. I don't know if they were one of the surprise teams in the area, but they were one of the best teams in the area, Ronnie. They had a fantastic 2014.
Yeah, it's interesting, too. Jordan and I were talking in the office last night. At some point, they're going to become, hopefully, where they're like that every year. It's like you said, right now we're all kind of surprised they're doing this, but if they do it another year or another 2 years, then, okay, they've built a program that can be consistent. But, yeah, they're in a good – in high school sports, I think a lot of it is how your talent – you kind of goes in waves at a lot of schools. And they're in a good transition right now where they have talent. Kashawn Baker, Shaft Parker at quarterback. They had some D1 guys last year that signed. So they're in a good good wave of having talent, having guys right now that can make plays. And, yeah, Kashawn Baker, evidently a little running back, is really small, not the biggest dude, but he can fly. He's exciting, and they have some guys around him that, yeah – I think they're going to score more points, and I'm going to go ahead and pick this one, Clip. And no offense to Kinston, but I don't see them coming to Farmville Central and winning. So I think the Jaguars do what they do and score a lot of points and win that one.
It was a great basketball matchup. We'll see what happens on the football field. And Farmville Central sometimes scores basketball numbers during their football games. We'll be back next week, find out how your picks went, and also preview week 2.
All right, sounds
deal.
good.
Ronnie Woodward, Jordan Anders here on the Fearless Football Forecast on the Sports Bar on Pirate Radio 1250 and 930 and online at reflector.com. If you're listening to us on Pirate Radio, we'll be right back. If you're watching us on reflector.com, we'll see you next Thursday. We're back with more right after this.